Welcome to the 200 subscriber spectacular. Alright everybody, I want to do something really fun and exciting for the big 200 subscriber spectacular. And I have my son here with me, Kyle. Kyle, everybody, Kyle. And he's going to be reading me your questions so that I can answer them, and maybe he'll chime in with stuff and we'll just have a good time and make like a party out of it. We do this just for fun, really. This isn't for money or any kind of crazy shit, so we're just having a good time. Anyway, and away we go.
From Bolzano Strangelove, question 1. Have you seen Master and Commander, and if so, thoughts?
I have not seen Master and Commander, which is a little bit weird because I actually own it in my DVD collection, and I just have it sitting there. As Kyle will attest to you, I can own something for years and then watch it like 8 years later. You know what I mean? Like, how many years was it before Gran Torino finally went in the DVD player? It was like...
I would say at least 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
You have been dead against that movie. You didn't want to see Clint Eastwood get old.
I didn't want to see Clint Eastwood get old, so it took a long time. But I've seen clips of Master and Commander, and I want to see Master and Commander. I just haven't sat down to commit to it yet. And I love anything, as Kyle will attest, anything boating related or ship related. I have all kinds of stuff on naval vessels and everything. So I do want to watch it. I'm going to watch it, but I haven't watched it yet, so I suck.
Our number 2. Top 3 favorite TV shows and why?
Okay, my top 3 TV shows. And this is really hard because oh man, there's so many of them. I'm not going to put them in any kind of order. But I would have to say number 1, I'm putting it in order. That's stupid. I would have to say that Star Trek will always be my favorite of all time things. I mean, I'm a big freak for Star Trek, so there's no other way around that. So Star Trek would have to be in the top 3. The reboot of Battlestar Galactica would have to be in the top 3. I thought that was one of the greatest shows in the history of mankind. Even if just for the whole fucking Gaius Baltar 6 angle, I was so into that it was almost disturbing. We would watch it every week. It was like a religion, and so yeah, that would be in there. And as far as mixing it up, I have to throw in a comedy or something like that. And I would probably have to say Three's Company. You
used to watch that religiously.
Yeah.
Three's Company.
Three's Company is one of my favorite shows of all time. So that's going to have to be, I would say those are the top 3. You might even be able to throw Benny Hill in there somewhere lingering.
Oh my God, I forgot how much we used to watch that.
Yeah, Benny Hill would have to be like in the top. He's in there too. That's all I'm going to say.
BBC every night, what was it, 7? They would do like an hour or 2 of Benny Hill.
Maybe. Yeah, I can't remember the channel of it, but yeah, the BBC. Yeah, you're right. It was BBC. And then Mom got me the DVD collection of it. Remember that? She bought me Benny Hill he's my savior. I love Benny Hill. And as a side note, I have modeled my entire adult behavior on Jack Tripper and Benny Hill.
There's a lot that gets in there.
There's a lot. It's what it is.
Question number 3. The worst TV show ever and why?
There was there's a lot of bad TV shows, so the field is open on that shit. But to me, the worst thing ever thought of, and I honest to God, when I first seen it come into a commercial on television, I thought it was a joke. I didn't think it was real. Did I ever show you there's a thing called Cop Rock? And it was a musical police drama. Dude, I swear to God, you never seen Cop Rock?
I don't know if I want to.
You don't want it. It was fucking atrocious. But it was a musical cop drama. I don't know if you can call it drama, because I mean, how could you put it? But it was. And when I remember the first commercials came out for it, I said, "Oh, this is a fucking gag. This is gonna be great. They're just making a joke." But it was real, and it was serious, and it was on TV, and it was the most atrocious thing I ever seen in my. It disappeared really quick.
I bet it did.
It did not last long. It was horrible. I should probably find some video of it and stick it in this thing.
So they were trying to make it like a serious thing.
I don't know how. I didn't watch that many of the episodes. I watched the first one just so I could break up laughing and think, what were they doing? But regardless, it was a cop drama. Imagine West Side Story meets a police TV show. And the cops were singing, the gang members were singing. It was fucking bizarre. I don't even know what they were.
I'm just picturing like Glee with cops.
It's not far
And
off
I've
from
never actually watched an episode of Glee, but
Yeah,
the bits and pieces I've seen, that's all I'm picturing.
It's actually one of the most atrocious things I've ever seen in my history of my life. So it was
what
really,
year was that from? That's the curious part to me.
What?
What year was that around?
Oh, God. Early 90s or late 80s.
No shit.
It was around almost like the 21 Jump Street area. And they kind of snuck it in there. And before you knew it, they're like, we're going to have cop rock. And I'm like, cop rock? The fuck is cop? And then all of a sudden I started seeing the commercials, and I'm like, no, they're fucking with me.
That's what
and then it happened.
I could almost see it like 70s or something. I could almost, like, when there's all the variety stuff, but
No, this was much later than that.
That's
and
jarring.
it was just bizarre. It was like one of those ideas where you're like, how did this go in a pitch meeting? Who had the balls to pull it off? And who was the asshole who signed off on it?
If that got approved, we should start running shows.
Exactly. We could. I mean, a sixth grader high on bath salts could come up with better shit than that. It wouldn't even make a difference. So, cop rock, that would have to be the one.
Number 4 is, what's the coolest intro song to a TV show?
Okay, this is going to go down to two things. The two that would really jump out at me, and one was the intro to Starsky and Hutch, is one of the greatest intros ever on television, with the car, the chasing, and that fucking cool 70s like funk rock song to it and everything like that. That would have to be one of them. I always loved that. I thought that was just phenomenal. The second one would have to be the theme to Barney Miller. Dome, do do dome, do do dome. You're a bass player. Dome. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things. It was like one of the coolest fucking. There's people still playing that on YouTube. Bands just breaking into the Barney Miller theme because it was just so goddamn badass. So I would have to say the Barney Miller.
That is a great theme.
That and Starsky and Hutch. All 70s. Everything after that fucking sucked, let's be honest. But it is what it is.
You know, now that I think about it, X-Files would be a bitchin' theme.
You know, that's pretty good too.
I was thinking about that. Like, that's just so instantly recognizable.
That is true. I didn't even think about that, but X-Files is really
There's a lot that just, when you hear that question, would slip under the radar.
Right, because you didn't get the, if you sat down for like 2 hours and super thought about it, you could really go for broke, but,
So number 5, most memorable TV show moment.
There's so many, because there's so many memorable shows, and I think about it and stuff like that. There's going to be a few moments. Now I got them gathering in my head. There's going to be a few moments. One was on All in the Family when Edith died. And Archie Bunker, who was always like this semi-prick, whatever, call him what you want, he was always like, yelling at Edith and all that kind of stuff. But then she died, and he went into his bedroom, and he found her bedroom slipper underneath the bed. And he just broke down and cried that she was gone. You know what I mean? And you realize that he was more dependent on her than she was on him. And it was crushing. I remember being a kid watching it, like fucking tears were in my eyes. I'm like, oh my God, this is heartbreaking. There was also an episode of Happy Days that was kind of like that. A little bit too. And then where Fonzie was like with Richie and all this other kind of shit. Richie was in the hospital. I can't remember why, but it's been so long. And then the other one would have to be, and I know this is coming out of left field, there was a scene in Battlestar Galactica, the reboot of Battlestar Galactica, not the original, even though I love that too, but in Battlestar Galactica, where Six and Baltar find Gina in the air, and she's all beaten up. Remember, they were torturing her, and they were beating her ass, and like she's all freaked out, seeing a copy of herself, and he's like trying to offer her something to eat, and he talks to her and confesses that he really loves Six, and she reminds him of Six, and all this other kind of shit. I thought that was one of the most well-acted, well-shot, well-directed scenes I have ever seen put on television, at least in the last 20 years. I was just watching it, like, riveted to it. It was just done so top of the line, and it was just well done. I just thought it was the most amazing things I've seen in a long, 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 long time. So that was one of, I'd say those, at least the two, Archie Bunker and the Gina in the Air. We actually named our second
album, yeah.
Our second album was named In the Air because I seen it on, which is, or In the Air, how the hell do you pronounce it? I don't even think we fucking know for sure.
I don't think Romanian.
I don't think we do either. But I found it was a Romanian word for resurrection. And I was like, well, that's just too cool right there. So we name our albums like that. He picks one, then I pick one, then he picks one, then I pick one. And we just bounce back and forth naming CDs. We're on the new one, so I think that one's mine. And then the next one is yours. Long story. Nobody cares about that stuff. I don't know why we're talking about it, but it is what it is. And thanks, Bolzano. Cool group of questions. Keep up that anime stuff that I know you work on. Thanks for being a long-time viewer and all that kind of stuff. Thank you. Okay, we're on to the next situation here.
All right, next up we got Happa817.
Oh, very cool. Another long-time watcher. Thank you so much. Appreciated like you wouldn't believe, really.
So question 1 is, what supporting character in a movie do you feel deserves their own movie? E.g. Roy Batty.
Well, you probably named the greatest support character that anybody could name, so it's like kind of like, wow, that got pulled away. But which is a great idea, though. That's actually phenomenal. One of them we were just talking about, because I'm a big like Jaws freak and stuff like that. Was it you or Mom? I think it was you.
Yeah.
That one of the ideas that they had for Jaws 2 that Spielberg wanted to do, and the reason he jumped ship was he wanted to do the backstory of Quint and show him in the Indianapolis going down, and he's in the water struggling with the sharks and all that kind of crazy shit. I think that would have been one of the best things that they could have done. Instead, they decided to make Jaws 2, which was just a fucking...
I hate that movie.
Yeah.
I absolutely
as far as the Jaws sequels, it's probably the best.
But look at that bar to clear.
I know. Yeah, you know what I mean? It's like you love Jaws 3 only because it's such a train wreck. You're just like, this is entertaining. And then Jaws the Revenge is beyond a train wreck, but you can't even enjoy it. It's just so goddamn bad.
I get a weird, sick, like, I can throw it on and just have it on in the background.
Really? I can't even do that. It makes me angry.
It's so nauseatingly bad, but I remember I watched it one time at work, like in the background. I was there real late and I had it on. And it was just so terrible, like when they first reveal the shark, and it's just like, for no reason, it's just in the ocean. Let's just see it.
Yeah,
I mean, it was just the craziest shit.
And it's the only movie where the shark effects got progressively worse. Every movie that they did, you're like, how can you make the shark look worse? A decade and a half after the original. When I mean, it's like, how can you fuck this up? And they just kept doing it over and over and over and over and over again. To the point where all the other movies I thought were better, whether it was like Orca or even Piranha. I enjoyed them more than all the other Jaws sequels. We're way off base right now.
Yeah.
But it would have to be the Quint character from Jaws. And I would have loved, even though he wasn't really a side character, but I guess he kind of is, but I would have loved to have seen a Napoleon Wilson movie from Assault on Precinct 13. That would have been badass. Darwin Johnson was fucking awesome, and it was just one of those kind of things. I would have loved to have seen another movie with him in it, playing that character. And I guess the Ethan Bishop character was kind of the main character because he was like, I
guess you can make an argument for either one.
Yeah, you know what I mean. But I would have loved to have seen that shit explored because I love that.
Yeah,
movie.
Napoleon Wilson seems like they could have made it like an anthology of movies, just like a Mad Max style thing where everyone's just some crazy shit.
They really could have, and in a way, they almost did because I still say Snake Plissken is almost an extension of Napoleon Wilson. You know what I mean? Where it was like, okay, he was a military guy and all that kind of shit, but they both show up. They're both going to jail for cloudy fucking reasons that you're not really sure what happened to put them in there. They're both like ultimate fucking badasses. They both say about 3 words every now and so often, and everything. That, I mean, it's just it was that kind of thing. So
maybe there could be an alternate universe. We could have a Duke of New York movie. A Hulk movie.
Just
go ape shit.
That would have kind of been cool. So you had the Duke of New York rose to prominence. The only thing is Isaac Hayes dead, so you gotta get another guy that looks like Isaac Hayes.
Oh, you can never, you can't
replace it. You can deep fake his face these days. It's trying to be possible. But the Duke of New York would just be badass. You know what I mean? Think about that. That's a good idea.
That would be a fun one.
Yeah. So there we go on that.
So number 2 is, what is your favorite '80s teen flick?
There was so many great 80s teen flicks in there. I mean, a lot of them. There was a lot of great shit. For me, I would love to have, because it's in the 70s, I would have loved to have included Breaking Away in this, the movie about, the bicycles and the cutters versus the rich kids and all that, because that's one of my favorites of all time. But I'm going to give 3 of them a special note out of all the other ones. The first one would have to be The Outsiders. I love The Outsiders. I think The Outsiders was as perfect a movie as you can make for teenagers in that period of time and all that kind of stuff. And it reminds me the most of me and my friends. There are those kind of guys in that kind of a neighborhood. That's the one. So I thought The Outsiders was awesome. Conversely, I liked Rumblefish because how can you not like Rumblefish? It's an art house flick. It's again about teenagers and all other kind of shit, but it's shot so differently. It's this black and white art house flick that's completely off the wall and bizarre, but gorgeous and engaging. And Mickey Rourke is fucking killer in that movie, man. As the motorcycle boy, he's just amazing. It's just one of the all-time greats. And last but not least, I would have to say, and I'm going to get ragged for this a little bit, The Breakfast Club.
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
I'm not going to get shit. The Breakfast Club, I thought was just an awesome flick. I remember going to see it in the theaters with my now wife, even though we weren't dating at the time. We were dating other people. We were there with the two other people, and then we wound up dating. It's a long story. But anyway, we went and seen that, and that was like a month before we started dating. It was one of those things, but Breakfast Club is awesome. You love it too?
I'm a big... I've only seen it once, or like sat down and watched it once or twice, but I remember being like, wow, that was... I see why everybody still loves that movie to this day.
Oh my God, Breakfast Club is just the shit. I remember being in the theater being like, this is going to suck. You know what I mean? Yeah. But it turned out to be great, and it's still... I don't watch it that often, though.
Yeah, so I don't sit down and like go out of my way to watch it, but if it's on, I'll leave it on.
You know what it is, I think? I think sometimes when you have a movie like that, you always fear at some point watching it again later, it's like, is it not going to have the magic for me it had the same time? Am I not going to get that feeling I had for it the same time? And I know Breakfast Club, I can just sit there and watch it and go, oh. You know, now, in my 50s, I might look at it and say, well, he's an asshole punk and shit. But at the time, you know what I mean? At the time, it was one of those kind of motion pictures that you just really, it was just well done. Well done.
Well, I gotta take issue. I never saw it, but Pretty in Pink, the whole thing in there, seemed kind of like, I don't know, it just didn't seem for me.
It didn't seem for me either. I didn't like it. I mean, it was all right. It was in the same thing. I mean, you had Molly Ringwald back again and all that other kind of shit. But you're not... From the guy perspective, I wasn't rooting for the ending that we got.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It felt weird. Like, oh, her best friend that was there the whole time.
You're fucking Ducky. Right?
I mean, you know, I'm not saying... it just... It seemed like the anti-80s teen flick ending.
It was like Ducky got the consolidation prize.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It was like he didn't get his dream girl. That went to the good-looking fucking other dude. But don't worry, at the end we'll have a girl come up or whatever and talk to him if that was the ending. I can't remember.
I've never actually seen it. I just knew the ending because me and my fiance were talking about it, and she was like, yeah, I don't get the ending. Why didn't John Cryer get with her?
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I remember sitting there watching. I think I actually seen it in the theaters. Memory serves, it's been so long. It might have been one of those ones I walked to the Madison to and seen anything for $2.50. And it was like, what the fuck am I watching? Why is this happening? I don't get it. The whole movie was set up so that you would think she would go off. It would have been like at the end of Karate Kid. If what's her name just said, "Fuck you, man, LaRusso. I'm going back with Johnny," and I don't know why I'm with. It just didn't make any sense to me. But whatever. I mean, the guy in that wasn't a prick like Johnny was supposed to be.
Oh yeah.
But
although you can argue.
Justice for Johnny. Justice for Johnny. That LaRusso kid screwed up his life, came out of nowhere, caused all kinds of problems.
One with an illegal kick.
With an illegal kick, and if you watch the new, Cobra Kai show, I don't know. Who was right, who was wrong? It's like the Jedi and the Sith. We can go into this all night.
Number 3. What actor would you cast to play in an autograph... Number 3. Number 3. What actor would you cast to play you in an autobiographical movie?
I really don't even have an answer for something like that because I couldn't imagine anybody would ever want to see it. you know what I'm talking?
You never know.
You never know. My wife does always say that when I was younger, for some reason, even though I'm 5'9" and he's like 6'5" or some shit like that, she always said I had big bug eyes that reminded her of Jeff Goldblum. She was, look at you too. You remind me of jet black curly hair and bug eyes. Well, whatever. But I don't know. I have no idea. I would want it to be somebody, if that did ever happen, for ungodly reasons, that was a normal guy. Don't put some Hollywood pretty, because that's not what we are. You know what I mean? It's like, just make him a dude. Make him some schlub off the street. Some shit like that. Keep him goofy looking. The whole nine, I want Steve Buscemi. to fucking play. You know what I mean? That kind of a thing. But I mean, that's just. I wouldn't want to see the movie, and neither would anybody else. So trust me, it'd be a waste of time.
I wonder where Jeff Goldblum came from.
He was actually like his first movie that I remember him in. He played a rapist in Death Wish, which if you go back and watch it now, it's really fucked up because you like. At the time, it was such a terrifying, screwed up shit to see.
Mm-hmm.
But that's why maybe he was around before that. I don't know, but I remember Death Wish was the one. Now when I see Death Wish, all that comes through my head is, yo, the dude from fucking Jurassic Park is raping some. It throws me or something. You know what I mean? Because now he's Jeff. He's just quirky Jeff Goldblum, and to see him in a movie like that, you're just like, oh my god. But yeah, that was the first thing I ever remember seeing him in, and then he popped up in. Invasion of the Body Snatchers. He was really good in that.
Mm.
You know what I mean? He was the quirky wannabe writer that was always, fucking Kidmer. He's always pissed off and shit. And I don't know. But good actor.
Mm.
Strange guy.
Mm.
Good actor. He was married to, what's her name for a while?
Gina Davis.
Gina Davis. Talk about fucking weird on weird. You know what I mean? That's like, they made that movie together.
Earth Girls Are Easy.
Yeah.
Like
You know what I mean? It was just like, I don't know. Take that for what it's worth.
Number 4, just like the Bronson versus Eastwood question, both in their primes, Paul Newman versus Steve McQueen in a fist fight. Who's winning?
I would pick Steve McQueen any day of the week because I don't think Paul Newman was generally like a tough dude, but Steve McQueen, he kind of grew up the tough way, hung with tough guys. He hung out with Bruce Lee and James Coburn. He was one of Bruce Lee's students. And I remember James Coburn saying that Steve McQueen was a tough character. Like, he would be interested in the martial arts with Bruce Lee because of a philosophical point of view. Where he said, Steve wanted to get in there and fight. He was just one of those dudes. He wanted to just get in there and throw hands. And, he was just one of those kind of guys. You know what I mean? So whether he was racing cars or motorcycles, what the fuck he was doing, he was a dude. And I like Paul Newman. Who doesn't? But I just can't picture him throwing hands with people. I mean, Cool Hand Luke was a great movie, but I just don't picture him fucking going, to the pavement with somebody. I just can't, no.
It's weird because I always, a lot of times now I hear Paul Newman, I just think of the smiling face and the salad dressing.
There's a lot of truth in that.
I mean, not that he's not a legendary actor.
Oh my god!
Every time I'm in the grocery store, I just see that smiling face looking back at me. It's hard to picture that teeing off in Steve McQueen's face.
Dude, him. He's been in so many great movies, but him and Slapshot.
That was one of the greatest.
Oh my god. Every time he was going behind that one, I can't remember the goalie's name offhand, but he was skating behind him, he was saying some crazy shit about his wife and all those other, that fucking movie, and him in it was, because he played a sleazeball. Normally, like, Paul Newman plays a guy you're going to kind of like, and he great character too when he was in Fort Apache the Bronx too, but he would always play like a kind of a semi-likable character at least. And in Slapshot, he was such a piece of shit. You know what I mean? He was a liar, a conniver. He just did everything wrong. The only person he showed remote heart to was that one player's wife, kind of. And so, whatever. I don't know. Great actor, but...
I guess since it was brought up, I'll ask you. In a total WrestleMania Fatal 4-Way situation, like the question before, Bronson, Eastwood, Newman, and McQueen, just... in a 4-way
out of
tussle.
all 4?
I have a feeling I know who you're going to go with. I almost have a feeling I can rank who you would put in which place.
I would probably go number 1 Charles Bronson.
Right. That's what I was figuring. Bronson does not seem like one to be fucked with. No.
Tough man, grew up a tough way in a tough environment. I just don't picture him being one of the guys you want to play games with. I just don't picture that. Second would be close because Eastwood's a big man. He's a big man. But if you ever see him off screen, he's a very mild-mannered man. Doesn't seem like he wants to start shit. Doesn't, he's kind of like... That was one of the things, if you ever read that book, The Good, the Bad, and the Very, Very Ugly by Sandra Locke, she actually said that she couldn't get him angry. And it would drive her nuts because she'd want to argue about something and he would just be like, well, and she'd be like, have some emotion, motherfucker. Well, that kind of stuff. So it's hard to picture. But he's a big, strong guy. There's no denying that. At the same time, though, McQueen was like, in the toughness factor, I would actually put him above Eastwood. but he wasn't that big of a guy as Clint Eastwood was. You know what I mean? So that'd be a toss-up. And then Paul Newman, he's going to go screw their girls while they're fist fighting in the alleyway. You know what I mean?
Because they're
going to go up to him like, Paul, you're such a gentleman. You're not like these animals crawling around in the dirt. Like, you know what I mean? And it's just, I think that's what would happen if I had to guess.
I had a feeling you're going to go that way with it.
Anyway, thanks again, Happa, and on to the next group of stuff here.
All right, the next batch is from Loe Pretty Boy. Apologies if I'm mispronouncing that.
Religious watcher. I don't think there's ever been a video that he hasn't made a comment on, so thank you so much. I mean, thank you so much. I don't even know how to put it.
So his first question is, what was your first motivation to open this channel?
Oh, God. Being a big fan of movies, you know what a freak I am for movies. It's not even funny. But I always wanted to, when I was a kid, I always used to watch Siskel and Ebert or Robert and Roper, or whatever the fuck they had at the point. And I would sit there and I'd say, oh man, that'd be such a fun job. Just sit down, review movies, tell people what you liked or maybe didn't, blah, 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 and do that. And now, because of technology today, any idiot with a camcorder and a laptop can basically do that, and that's where I jump in. And I thought, oh man, this would be really, really fun to do. And plus, I like to keep busy working on things. Mm-hmm. You know how I am with projects and stuff like that. And I like to always have something I can be able to do and focus on and whatnot. And plus, and this is going to sound a little bit goofy and weird, it's a fun thing to have all these videos left behind on a strange, selfish reason, because as you get older, this is going to make him look at me like that, but as you get older, you realize you're not going to be on this coil of planet Earth forever. And I said, wouldn't it be cool, also on top of doing this for YouTube, someday my kid will always have these, and he can show my grandkids or something like that, and they'll be like, oh, there's my grandfather, back when he was like talking like an idiot, now some bumbling little guy in a wheelchair, talking about movies and giving stories and all this other kind of stuff. And it's like a little diary, but of this, you know what I mean? So there'll always be moments when I'm decrepit, old, or buried, and he'll be able to sit there and look back and say, oh my God, or look at all the stuff we did together with the band, because we've been in a band together for, how long has it been now? Almost 10 years? 11 years.
Jesus.
Or maybe 12. The first record, I think, was 2009.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, so it's been...
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah, so it's been, years of that and everything, so it's always... Everything I do, really, I know it sounds odd, but I don't really do it for any kind of, like, a fame, recognition, or anything kind of stuff. My projects are always based that I can do it more with my family and spend time with my family, or to have something to leave behind so they'll see it later. Does that make any sense? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it's not about... That's why I'm never one of those guys... I don't give a flying shit about... I'm not out there Instagramming and Redditing and Twittering and all that kind of stuff, because I don't really care if I have, 1,000 subscribers or 1 million. To me, it's kind of pointless. You know what I mean? I do this for the people that love it, and it's so great to meet them and talk to them and all that other kind of stuff, and that's just phenomenal. And I do it so that my family always have something that we can either work together on, or they'll have years after I slip away. I don't want to sound depressing, even though that kind of does, but it is what it is.
So, switching gears to, do you think Tarantino made Bruce Lee a cartoon character in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood? Though I liked the ending of the film.
Okay. Here's my thing about that. I've watched the scenes. I haven't watched the movie. Again, I'm so rooted in older Hollywood compared to younger Hollywood. And I'm so not into modern Hollywood at all. You know what I mean? I'm very much, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s type of guy and stuff like that. I'll probably watch the whole thing when I get a shot and everything. I do think it's unfortunate, though, when film directors take a personality, that's a real-life personality. I mean, they're not... It's bad enough when they fuck up a genre of movies and they sit there and they shit on a character you care about, Han Solo, Luke Skywalker, and the name is it. Shit, they just screwed over He-Man lately, but that's a whole nother fucking thing. But it gets really upsetting when they do it to real-life people that have families and they got friends and they got people that look at them and respect them. I remember how upset I was when Ron Howard did that in Cinderella Man with Max Baer, who by every account on planet Earth was a great guy, gregarious character. Everybody liked him, everybody loved him. And they made him out to be like this guy who kills people in the ring and laughs about it, and he's an asshole. Well, it works better for the film. Yeah, but it fucking sucks in real life because he's got a family, he's got people that remembered him, and you're treading on a grave. The same thing with Bruce Lee, I think, how it took place. It's like, did you have to try to make him out to be the way he was? Yeah, some people might have said he was arrogant. Whatever might have happened, who knows? And whatever the story was behind this, where the person recounted it, whatever. But do you necessarily need to take it from that angle and to play that game? I've seen Tarantino in an interview recently where he actually said, he goes, well, I could understand, his family being mad at me, but everybody else, like, who fuck you? What do you fucking care? For people out there, to a lot of people, Bruce Lee is a special thing.
He's a hero.
He's a hero. There's fucking statues of the guy floating around. And he is somebody who meant so much to the martial arts world for being the first guy to really say, hey, let's integrate. Not your system's better, my system's better, this is better, that's worse, we can't come together and do things. He really made a difference. And it's like Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali's bigger than boxing. And he always will be. If you want to shit on Muhammad Ali, whatever, but you're shitting on a bigger icon than just saying, well, he never worked the body.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And it's the same kind of a thing with Bruce Lee. People love him for his philosophy, they love him for his movies, they love him for what he meant to martial arts, and just to try to buffoon him to a degree, what's the point? What are you getting out of it? It's somebody who can't defend themselves. You know what I mean? They're dead.
Yeah.
And to me, if you're going to pop shit about somebody, you pop it to them, not when they're gone or in a position not to answer you. So, I wasn't a fan of what he did. It was what it was, and, I still love his early movies and shit like that. I just thought it was a cheap move.
Yeah.
It was kind of a bitch move. It's one of those kind of things.
Question 3. Who is your favorite singer that you love?
Oh man, me and him can probably have a whole bunch of fun with this because we're music guys before even movie guys. But okay. Can't answer just one because that's actually physically impossible. Or mentally we'll just break down and start crying. We can't handle the pressure. But it would have to be a group. I'm going to give you the 5 that pop into my head. Obviously, you have Steve Perry, who I think is one of the greatest vocal talents ever to exist. The guy you watch some of his live performances from Houston and that thing. I mean, you're talking about guys that have to sing in the band, and half the time we're like, if we could only sing. Like that fucking guy. You know what I mean? It would be amazing. So Steve Perry, right near the top of the heap. Freddie Mercury, because he was such an amazing singer and stage presence. You know what I mean? And songwriter, for Christ's sake.
Yeah.
The guy was like a total package. So where do you go after that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Another would be, and this is, I guess it would actually shorten my list because it's a group of guys, so I could probably combine them. But anyway, it's the Bee Gees.
Yeah.
I think the Bee Gees are the most phenomenal, vocally talented people that ever existed. I mean, really, the harmonies, live. You forget the shit in the studio.
Yeah.
But even live, they were just so fucking amazing what they could do. It was just mind-blowing. I remember a producer saying, he goes, the only guys that go in and do recuts, and if you sing too precisely, something happens called, you're in phase and it won't sound right because, the copies are too identical. And he said that they would actually do that because they could just do take after take, recreating themselves pitch perfect every time. And that's not what usually happens. You know what I mean? It's just not what usually happens. And then you have my boy, which is my fucking musical mentor, which is Douglas Theodore Pinnock, from the band King's X, which is a band out of Houston, Texas, originally. Or Missouri, actually, I think before that, right?
I think so.
And then they were in Texas and everything like that. And that's my favorite band in the world. And he is easily my favorite singer-songwriter, influence, whatever, of all times. I think the guy's just amazing. Got to meet him once or twice. And great guy, super cool. Go out and look up any King's X record. You know what I mean? His voice got a little lower over the years.
Yeah.
But in the beginning, Jesus Christ. And a phenomenal talent. Should have been fucking huge. Everybody in that band should have been huge. They were insane musicians, insane songwriters. Literally my favorite band of all time. Just, phenomenal. So There's that. Give me yours. Come on. You're here. I want to.
I'm on the spot. I didn't have any time to prep.
That doesn't matter. You're young.
If obviously all the people you named are on there, but you know what? A voice that I really enjoyed a lot was Skin from Skunk and Nancy pops into mind.
Oh my god!
The way she can go from really soft and beautiful, just everything, and then to this hard, just scathing hard sound.
Oh my god! She could do opera.
Yeah,
she can go from like opera to Axl Rose viciousness, and her lyrics were like that too.
Yeah, exactly. That's one of the things.
Yeah,
that I really liked. She would use her voice to complement those lyrics when they got a little bit more.
Oh yeah, yeah, she did.
Maybe just listen to a song like Tracy's Flaw, for example. That song is just like.
It's one of the best.
Yeah,
ones.
It's one of those ones where it's like the lyrics, the sing. It's just very, very talented.
If you get a shot, go out and get, or at least listen to the first, at least 3 Skunk and Nancy records. Paranoid and Sunburnt, Stoosh, and Post-Orgasmic Chill. Those were 3 great records. After that, they had like some great songs on records. Those records were just...
Those were killer.
Those were killer records. We played the shit out of them.
Oh,
those were great stuff, you know.
I've still been listening to them recently, just going back, because I was listening to a few of their albums, and it was just like, wow, what good shit was on there.
Yeah. And it was very simplistic shit. The songs were not complicated. You know what I mean? But their stuff was so good, and it grooved and hooked so hard. Where, like, the opposite was like King's X, that stuff was like, you had to be like fucking serious level musicians to pull this shit off. But those first 3-4 King's X records were brutal. If you try to play them, they were just unbelievable. And then Dogman, which was a bit simpler, but was just so slamming and perfect.
Yeah.
You got to look those up. They're insane. You know.
I am a big fan of Don Dokken's voice because I just love Dokken. And I always was like, God damn, Don can fucking sing his ass off.
Yeah.
So, big Don Dokken fan from all those days. Yeah, they were great.
From like 78 to like 95, that dude could sing.
He could sing.
He could barely talk now.
Oh, yeah.
Man.
But
that boy could
you
sing.
can't do that shit forever.
Yeah, no, too high. When everybody tries to sing that high all the time, man, you're gonna. I mean, see what happened to Paul Stanley lately?
Yeah, it's
tragic. Oh my God, that boy was a powerhouse at one point in time. Now it's like it's tragic. I mean, he can barely even talk. But man, in the '80s, Paul Stanley was a machine.
It was fun to you listen to Kiss through the years, be like. '70s, he had a good voice, but then by the '80s, when he like really perfected what he was doing, and he was like, that dude is in total control of everything he's doing. I mean, there's a bunch of guys. Even if I don't listen to him that much, I just can respect what their voices are, like the David Coverdales of the world, guys like that.
Oh my Jesus, fuck me, Christ! I fucking forgot about Coverdale. God damn, young Coverdale was
ridiculous,
awesome, dude. He was just like, there was a great story of the guy from Def Leppard, there, Joe Elliott, saying he was struggling in the studio, and then he like went next door, and like he couldn't get his parts, and he watched Coverdale come in, nail his part in one take, and walk out, and he like almost wanted to fucking commit suicide because he couldn't believe what he just witnessed. You know what I mean? It's like that has to be demoralizing, you know.
Oh my God!
And what are you gonna do?
Well, you know, there's some other obvious ones. You know, a younger Cornell was obviously had a great voice. Not a lot of the grunge guys, but you know me. Although, again, another guy who, as the years went by, you could tell that high end, he just couldn't hit anymore, which is unfortunate. But I respect him for trying.
Yeah.
He didn't go out there and start doing doo-wop or anything like that.
He can sing acoustically still beautifully.
Oh, incredibly.
But, But at the time.
Everything leaves eventually.
Yeah. See what happens when you get us talking about music? We'll just go off on a tangent. It'll just get ugly.
So, number 4, what's your favorite music?
Oh, God. That's almost impossible to answer because... Kyle will attest. So I know he's the same way. I listen to so much different shit. It's like we can get into a car and it'll be the Bee Gees, or disco, or right to Marilyn Manson's "This Is the New Shit" or whatever it's going to be. So, but I would have to say my favorite music is heavy hard rock, easily. You know what I mean? But I love all of the stuff so much that it's hard to leave everything else out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like everybody knows, with King's X was it's hard rock, but there's almost a funk to it to a degree. Fucking Prince. I mean, come on. It's like major Prince fan. You know how many times? But It would have to be the heavier stuff, but that doesn't mean it's the only stuff. I love the Bee Gees just as much as I would, I probably listen to the Bee Gees more than Judas Priest, even though I like Judas Priest, you know what I'm saying? So it is what it is. Come on. Give them your favorite kind.
I'm the same way. I mean, I don't have a set thing. It depends what mood I'm in that day.
Right.
I can't just be like, certain people are like, I listen just to metal. It's like,
that shit annoys me.
I don't just do metal or country. Certain ones I won't do, like the modern country. I just can't stomach.
Modern country sucks balls.
Yeah, I'm not really a big rap guy at all.
No,
especially the modern mumble rap shit. It's good for
early rap was kind of fun.
It was fun.
It was fun. It was
fun.
Some of the early stuff. I never bought rap, never owned it. But some of that stuff, listen to it back in the day.
It's fun.
You know what I mean? It's like jam on it.
All that shit's a good. Like the '80s rap was a lot of fun. That shit was
kind of fun. You had a good time with it. But yeah, now it's just too. I don't hear anybody with any remotely talented shit out there these days. It's all gone.
It's really bad.
Some of the original guys and the '80s guys were fun, but yeah, what are you gonna do now?
Yeah, but there's not a lot of new music that I really run out and grab anymore. Just kind of horrible. There's not really, especially where we are. There's not like a local rock station anymore.
Yeah, that's just about dissipated.
Yeah, we have like a classic rock station. At best, on a good day, like, hey, Alice in Chains has got a new album, band I love, and you'll get the single. And that's it for modern rock.
I don't know. It's kind of scary out there sometimes.
Yeah, even some of the bands I did like, as much as I really liked the first Royal Blood album, and then it got a little more polished and a little more polished. And it just sounds different a little bit. Did
you see the new music video they put out where they got a keyboard player and two backup singers?
So that fucks it up. They had a gimmick. They had a 2-man gimmick. Why fuck it up? Why not just get it? Why?
That their one show from I think it was 2014 or 15, Tea in the Park.
That was great.
That was as perfect as they will ever be. We've seen Royal Blood live too.
Yeah, they're really good.
Yeah, they were good.
I'm a fan of the band. Don't get me wrong.
They started pumping in some sampling. I think that the drummer or something.
Yeah.
And then I think that they must have called it backlash because now they got acts that they're bringing people out with them now to do it. And I guess if you want to expand on the sound or whatever.
Yeah, I don't blame people for changing. It's just
but
it just you can tell there's a lot more polish and production and stuff. I'm not saying it's bad or anything. It just sounds a little more. I hate to say radio friendly. That's not a bad thing. I like shit on the radio. Well, not that much anymore. But it's not to say it's bad to be popular or anything. It's just, I don't know. It sounds different than that first album and maybe even the second that I grabbed. But still, enjoy the band.
Yeah. Did you notice the lead singer polished himself up too?
Yeah, he went from black t-shirts and jeans to fucking all the prim and proper buttons.
He kind of reminds me of fucking George Michaels from the 80s. He always wears the short beard, got the hair gelled up now. You know what I mean? He's wearing stylish clothes, and I'm like, what happened to you, dude? You danced with the devil, and now you're one of those guys. And so much stuff now is almost repetitive. It's like, who the hell wants to go out there and see Greta Van Fleet? It's like, if I want to see that, I'll just put a fucking Zeppelin record on.
Look, I don't want to badmouth anybody, but and it's no offense to them. I get it. They're making their money. But I can't fucking stand that whole fucking thing. I just can't do it. I can't stand every time I hear they're bringing it back. They're in fucking costume to look like the way it did before.
Right, which is really weird.
I just don't fuck with it. To each their own. I'm not saying they can't enjoy it. It's no offense to the guys. If I was 18 and somebody said you can make millions of dollars playing Led Zeppelin, give me the fucking guitar and a Jimmy Page mask. I'll fucking do it. When I first heard that shit, I was like, this is a joke.
Dude, I thought it was, I swear to God, the first time I seen them on TV, I had heard nothing about them, turned on, I thought it was like an SNL gag. I thought that's what it was. I said, oh, this is like a cool little parody. Where's the punchline?
Yeah.
And then it just, I don't know.
I'm not saying they're not talented or anything. I'm not shitting on them.
Right.
It's just that, for me, I'd probably rather lick a porta potty than go fucking see it. It's no offense to them. It's just there's like a disconnect to it.
Yeah, and especially for somebody like my age, it's like we've done this. You know what I mean? We've done this and we've heard this, and when you dress like that, it's like you're really going out of your way to be like, we're this revival '60s thing. And I'm like, why why do that? Just go out and fucking
if they just
do something. If they're in street clothes,
I could handle it. I could fucking handle it if they. But it's the clear costumes and the fucking denial. Oh, we don't sound that much like that. I don't fucking know, man. It just...
Didn't one of the guys say, like, oh, man, I've never listened to Zeppelin until everybody started saying we say... It's like, motherfucker, don't you lie. Don't you lie. You know, it's like the first thing you should do with any of your influences in your band is promote them. The first thing I do is, like, I think we bring, like, we ripped off a lot of King's X type of vibe and sound, the way we tune our guitar. First thing I say is, you like us, go listen to them. You know what I mean? Because they probably deserve that kind of sound more. If you like some of the stuff we do, it's like... Go listen to Alice in Chains.
Go listen to Helmet.
Go listen to Helmet. There's another thing. That's another thing that we kind of like, you know, have in our vibe. It's like those are the guys that got you the vibe that you have because you said I like that and that and that, and you kind of morph it into your world. But to sit there and to say, you know, it's like every band in the '80s that came out. It's like, you know, Motley Crue came out and said, "Fucking Alice Cooper and Kiss who?" Then fuck you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, well, what are you saying? You know, you can't even go there. To even suggest such a thing, so I don't know. That shit gets annoying.
It's
you know what I mean.
And there's no middle ground either. It's either you're like, oh no, fuck that band, I hate them, or people are like, they're bringing it back, these kids. It's really fucking weird.
The only good thing that those guys did was it stopped people from talking to Dave Grohl every day. Because I mean, come on, I'm just saying, it's like Dave Grohl has become like the voice of rock and roll over the last 10, 12 years. Talented guy. Foo Fighters are a great band. It's not a knock, but Jesus H. Christ. Isn't there anybody out there other than the fucking Foo Fighters? You know what I'm saying?
That's no offense to Foo Fighters. It's just that's literally all.
That's literally all there is. You know? Or they would go, you know, every time I turn on internet or some shit like, you know, fucking Loudwire talks to Corey Taylor. It's like, I don't give a fuck what Corey Taylor has to say. You know what I mean? I'm not shitting on the guy, but it's like, for the love of Christ.
Yeah.
You know, it's like there's other bands out there. Don't just make it.
There's like four faces they go to every fucking time they need a statement on something.
Come on.
I can't keep up with any of those fucking websites like that. I
stopped caring. You know, Corey Taylor thinks. Dave Grohl responds. It's like, I don't fucking know. You know, it's like And I like Dave Grohl. It's not a shit on Dave Grohl. But, you know, it's like we're going to run a 2-hour special because Dave Grohl wants to tour in a van this week. It's like, fucking, really? You know?
Yeah.
You couldn't think of somebody else to talk to? You couldn't even go talk to go fucking, I don't care if you go interview Rod Stewart again. You know what I mean? Whatever. But it's just, this is my last saying this because this video is going to be way too long. My last point of it is there's no more danger in rock and roll. There is none. There's no more Axl Rose, Guns N' Roses kind of what's going to happen.
Axl Rose is still the most dangerous motherfucker in rock and roll.
And there's no more of that like 70s era Rolling Stones or Aerosmith. There's none of that shit now. That doesn't exist anymore unless people are trying to pretend to be scary. You know what I'm saying? Say what you will. I mean, like some of his music, like some of his songs. Marilyn Manson ain't really scary. Like, you know what I mean? He's not really. And all those like other bands that are like, and they're dressed up like vampires. That's not frightening. But you show me a bunch of whacked out heroin junkies that are just like doing crazy shit, and I'm like, you got to see this shit. And the songs and the lyrics, and you know, who the fuck else? Nobody today would make a song where they put a microphone in the sound room as you're banging the drummer's girlfriend and then put the sound of her on the fucking record. It wouldn't happen.
It's not going to go down like that today.
It wouldn't happen. And those days are gone of that kind of crazy rock and roll woo-woo type of shit. So, I don't know. It is what it is. We've been on this for a long time. We've got to get moving.
And I will throw in, I'm a big Marilyn Manson fan. Don't get it.
Yeah, we're not shitting on Marilyn Manson, you know? But he's a nerd. Yeah. I mean, Marilyn Manson's a nerd in scary clothing. You know what I mean? And there's nothing wrong with nerds because I consider myself a nerd. You know what I'm saying?
I like him. I think he's, you know, I mean, I don't follow him fucking closely. I'm not reading every article about the guy. But from
he's intelligent.
The few things I've seen from back in way in the day, he's like a well-spoken dude. He
got some problems with alcohol lately, but
I so hardly keep up on. I've seen certain things.
But.
And question 5: are you going to make a Star Trek ranking video?
I already have it, and I'll post a link for it. I made one. It's like probably a year and a half, 2 years ago that I did it, but there is a Star Trek ranking video out there. I actually made it. It's only the original series, or the original actors. You know, Kirk, Spock, all that shit. Next Gen, I didn't include because why? And then that shit that what's his name is putting out there, the fucking guy.
The new one.
The new ones. What's his name?
Oh, JJ.
Yeah, J.J. Abrams. Jesus Christ Almighty on a biscuit. I can't even. I watched the first. I went to the theaters for the first two. I think there's only been three, but they were so offensive and bad and dumbed down that I almost wanted to lose my shit and throw things at the screen. I couldn't believe what I was watching. So it was like, oh no, that doesn't even count. But yes, the Star Treks, the first 6 movies. They're out there, and I'll leave you a link for it.
Just don't say J.J. Abrams' name 3 times in a row, or like Beetlejuice will show up and he'll fuck up whatever franchise you love the most at that time. I swear to God.
What more damage could he done? He ruined Star Trek, and then, along with Kathleen Kennedy, he ruined Star Wars, and you're like, dude,
don't
what are you gonna
he
do
might
now?
show up and make like 8 Blade Runner flicks.
Seriously?
All with tons of lens flare and
Seriously,
fucking...
just dive into Blade Runner. Leave it scorched earth. I would say do it to Terminator, but Terminator already did it to himself. There's nothing more you can do to wipe that off fucking planet Earth. So, you know, what do we got left?
Titanic 2.
Yeah, Titanic 2. And I hear, I could be wrong, but I hear that the new Indiana Jones is going to turn into a piling, steaming thing of shit, which the last one wasn't that great anyway. Come on, Harrison. We love Harrison Ford. He's one of my favorite actors of all time. Harrison Ford is legendary. But my man is 80. You're not swinging from a bullwhip at 80. I'm 50. I ain't swinging from shit.
You're not surviving a fall at 80.
No, it's craziness. You know what I mean? Come up with something new.
That's the thing. I don't like the way everything has to be a fucking sequel nowadays, or a rehash, or a reboot, or a continuation, or a reimagining.
Yeah. Every time you look out there, and sometimes they do a great job. Battlestar Galactica is a perfect example of a thing that they redid, and you're like, oh, I'm nervous going in. This is amazing. This is amazing. But for everyone that's amazing, there's like 9 that they just burn to the fucking ground to where there's nothing left of it, and you're like, I don't even want to put this in my head anymore.
Speaking of something they fucked up, the unnecessary sequel.
Yeah, I mean, what was that? That
thing reboot, terrible.
And I'm going to go off on a tangent. We're going to do a little bit more. I know this video is too long. Who gives a shit at this point?
There's no time limit on YouTube anymore.
Yeah, right. So this is another thing. Like, take what they did to The Thing, which is kind of like what they did to the new Terminator flick, that Dark Fate shit flick. You could never make a movie like The Thing today. Now, first off, let me state so nobody thinks we're a bunch of assholes. We love strong female characters in in movies. You know what I mean? Come on, Ripley and fucking Lara Croft and fucking all the goddamn Resident Evil flicks and all that kind of shit. It's amazing. But when they take a movie and they're like, okay, now we have to, like, The Thing was an all-male cast. Think about that. Think about getting a movie made today with an all-male cast. It's not going to take place. It would. I mean, they'd be like, "Get the fuck out of our office," you know. And that's a shame because it just dilutes what that motion.
I think that movie added such a feeling of hopelessness by just being 12 fucking paranoid dudes up in a goddamn research thing. If you had tried to fuck that up with a love angle or anything, even just a softer presence, I think it would have fucked up the whole dynamic there. There's something about 12 dudes in this Lord of the Flies-esque situation.
Yeah.
That's just, you can't really add it in.
You couldn't. And then when they tried to redo it, or I don't know what the fuck you want to prequel it or whatever the hell they were doing in that fucking movie, they threw in the CGI, which just wrecked it. You know, they tried to throw the lady angle into it, which was nothing wrong with. Don't get me wrong. Again, it makes it sound like we're assholes right now, but we don't mean it like that. There's just certain things. It's like there's great characters and there's great movies and there's all that kind of stuff. Watch the movie Gloria, by the way, with Gina Rowlands from years ago. Phenomenal motion picture. Anyway, but then when they do like the reverse flip to do that, we're going to take it and make the Ghostbusters girls or something like that. It's just weird. Just give girls more great movies.
Yeah. Just
stop taking movies where they're guys and. You know, I don't want to see a female James Bond. I don't want to see the good. You know, it's just there's no point.
It's like you're kind of. I find it way more disrespectful to a chick to sit there and be like, "You're only just we're just going to give you the boys' role and just act like it's the same." It's like you can just give them their own fucking thing and call it a day.
Exactly. By way of example, Gina Carano and Haywire.
Perfect.
Fucking phenomenal. Fucking phenomenal. She was great in that. I wish it would have been more successful so we could have had like a series of those fucking things. That was a movie. Or I wish they did make a sequel, but fuck that. It wasn't a real continuation of The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, the Fincher flick.
Yeah.
With Rooney Mara in it. You know how much I love that movie. That fucking movie was amazing. Amazing. They didn't make the follow-ups. They made like part 2 years later with a different chick and nobody gave a shit. But that shit was amazing. Give us more stuff like that. Don't go into a franchise and be like, well, how can we kill off all the male characters? You know, I know you really cared about John Connor for 30 years, but fuck that guy. He's in the way of it. Don't do shit like that. It just pisses people off and drives them out of the franchise. You know, it just makes no sense to me.
I like to imagine that anything after Terminator 2 didn't happen. So
for all intents and purposes, yeah.
I watched Dark Fate actually not that long ago, and that just fucking right to the core.
Yeah, it was beyond just stupid. There was just no point in it. And to kill John Connor in the opening scene of the movie, right then and there, you're like, I already know. I can already picture in my head what's going to come. Scene B, C, D, E, F, G. You already knew. It was the let's dump this asshole so we can move in with the reimagining of fucking Terminator, where there's like no testicles anywhere on the screen. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't understand it. There's no point in that. Just give us more Girl with the Dragon Tattoos. Just give us more fucking Ellen Ripley. Just give them more fucking Haywire.
Terminator already had like, strong fucking female things.
That just made no sense. And she was a perfect character arc. You had her, she started off like you know, light and wimpy in the first one, and then she got stronger by the end of the first Terminator. Then she was fucking badass in Terminator 2. It's like, what the fuck more do you need? The guys are dying around her, and she's still going. She's fucking... And we all love Sarah Connor.
Yeah.
Dude, fucking 12 gauge, one-handed rack and fuck. I mean, I was like, fucking, that's hot. Right? And then what do? They overdo it to the point where you just look at everybody and go, what the fuck am I
watching? Well, they swapped it around. They turned her into a fucking joke because I had the Mackenzie Davis Phillips, whatever her name is.
I think it was Mackenzie Davis. She's actually a decent actress. It's just
she actually was believable in the role to an extent. They have her in there shit talking and smacking down Sarah Connor every time she opens her mouth. So she becomes like in her own fucking franchise just this piece of shit that they're batting around until the end fight scene where she literally takes a shotgun next to her head and shoots out its Terminator arm next to her fucking face with the shotgun. In the blink of an eye. I don't even get me fucking started.
They kind of did that in the new Halloween with fucking Laurie Strode when Michael Myers has her and she blows his fingers off. Yeah. It's like, you just detonated a 12 gauge pump inches from your skull. Yours more fucked up than the guy that you just shot.
I mean,
it was like, what are we doing?
And even with the Terminator one, she did it in like a slow motion, like he was extending his metal arm, and she like flipped up her 12 gauge and detonated it next to her fucking head. And at that point, I was like, I almost wanted to just fill a bucket of ice and just dunk my head in it to try to numb my brain to what I had seen.
It was upsetting.
I hate that fucking... I hate it. I thought, no way they're going to be worse than Genesis. You can't fuck anything up worse than Genesis.
They did. They actually went the extra mile. Unintentionally even, which is kind of... Well, maybe. I don't know. Sometimes I think they're trying to sink these franchises. But I'm like, you can't fuck this up by accident this much. It's too big to
It's more embarrassing, too, because they keep going back saying, we're going to erase everything else that happened here, and we're going to be the good one, just you watch. And then they always fucking suck. That new Halloween movie, look, it was fun. It was fucking stupid. I mean, it was fucking dumb.
It was.
I mean, anybody sitting there saying this is just art compared to the other ones, what the fuck are you talking about? Right. It was fun.
Right.
It was kind of shit, too.
Yeah. I mean, there was elements of it that were good.
No, I shouldn't say it was shit.
There was elements of it that were good. But then the Dr. Turncoat thing was unnecessary.
Fucking ridiculous.
And the fact that every male character was like the biggest fucking bitch on planet Earth.
I got peanut butter on my penis.
Yeah, it was just... And the idea that the father, as his daughter is missing, as a psycho killer, is just running around the neighborhood fucking taking everybody out who just falls in his path. He's just killing everybody. His kid's missing, and he's like walking around fucking with a yo-yo, and he's like looking at the sea, like he's not even part of what's going on. It just clues you into the mindset of the people writing the goddamn story. It's just like they don't give a fuck about the reality of the characters. They're like, the guy characters they're there.
Yeah.
But they don't really hold any value. You know what I mean? Which is just, all the characters should hold value. Male, female, across the board. Let them hold value. Watch The Gauntlet. Enough said. What? I mean, you know what I'm saying? But don't sit there and do this doofy shit where the guys are like a bunch of fucking mongoloids just walking around in circles. They can't even think straight. And then like the girl's sitting there saying, "Get off your knees, Dad. We gotta go." It's like, what the fuck are you talking about? You know?
That movie was a fucking scorched earth pile.
Yeah. We better get going. I have no idea how long this is.
And the final question was, what was your favorite superhero character when you were a kid?
The superhero favorite characters were always heroes that didn't want to be superheroes, or they were afflicted some way. For me, I mean, I love Spider-Man shit because it was on TV more and all that kind of crap. But my favorite one was the Incredible Hulk, because you felt bad for him. Mm-hmm. And I knew him more from TV than the comics. And it was always the same thing. He'd show up, he'd help people somehow, as himself or the Hulk. Then everything would turn to shit, and he would have to walk off into the sunset all by himself. You know, his family was gone, he had no place to live, he was just this wandering vagabond trying to get rid of this affliction of being the Hulk. And that kind of stuff. I loved Moon Knight when I was a kid, because Moon Knight was like a troubled from comic books. Because he was kind of troubled. He had this vibe of like, why am I doing this? You know, this is not. He wasn't like the Batman. I'm here to save Gotham and everything's going to be, or Superman who was invulnerable and fucking boring. He was kind of like troubled. It was like his vibe was like, what the fuck? You know, what's the point of even, you know what? And I always liked those ones that were a little bit more flawed and a little bit more broken, or a little bit more tragic than just the guy that woke up that morning with a smile on his face and said, you know what, I'm going to go out there and save the planet today because it's just what I do. You know, it's like, whatever. But those were the characters that I used to like. They were a little bit more off than the main thing. You know what I mean? You know, complex, I guess. And as I always say, because I always pronounce shit horrible, but to LPB, thank you again. I mean, you've been watching forever, and God bless you, man. Thank you. It means the world, you know, so that's beyond cool.
Yeah.
I hope we didn't bore the fuck out of you guys for too long, because I know we've been probably going off for a while and all this other kind of stuff, but this was like one of the funnest times I've ever had, because I have my son here. Hopefully we can, if you ever want to do more,
you let me know. It's your
okay
thing.
We'll be doing more things where we're together, banding things about, and having ourselves a good time. But anyway, as always, be good, take care, stay out of trouble, help a friend, be kind to a stranger, but above all else, under no circumstances, ever take any bullshit from anybody. See you soon. Thank you.